Hey everybody, my name is Matt, and I am your creature feature teacher today. As you know, I also host on YouTube, my YouTube channel, You and Your Horror Movies. So I decided to take a different approach and do a little podcast here, pretty much on my favorite type of horror films, which would be creature features. I've always been in touch with monster movies. I love all those type of guys with the in the rubber suits, running around, different type of monsters, kaiju to small little creatures to again people in suits type styles. My favorite Universal horror movie, of course, is Creature from the Black Lagoon. I always enjoyed that movie as a kid, and of course to this day. Pretty much my love for horror started off with my dad and I pretty much on like a Saturday, even maybe a Sunday, watching probably on the AMC network or some movie network that would always run either westerns, war films, and horror films. So my dad will be in the Barker Lounger watching TV, and of course I'd be sitting there playing with my toys and whatnot. And I would ask my father, "Hey, does this movie have a monster film in it?" And of course he would go, "No, this is a western." So I'm like, not for me. He goes, "This one's a war movie, Civil War, World War I, II," and I'll be like, "Oh, okay, I could watch a little bit of that." But as soon as you said this was a monster movie, I was glued. I pretty much just watched the film, put the toys down, and just continued watching the movie. Other horror films, of course, I would always watch as well, but mostly gravitated towards monster films. If it had a cool looking monster, I'm there. I thought those were pretty cool looking, especially like even the old black and whites from the 1950s to even the 80s. Imagination. People had to make the suit, had to put everything together to make this creature appear on screen, which always brought my attention to that. So again, like my dad passed away in 2004, and I pretty much owe him my love towards horror films. Like I said before, sitting on the couch watching a film, and if you ask me what my first horror movie was that I ever watched, I probably can't give an answer to that because I've seen so many, especially then. I don't remember which one was the first. All I know is, boom, there's a horror film, there's a monster movie, I'm there. And that always enjoyed watching those. And of course, I started collecting physical media probably in the late 90s for VHS. So I was always trying to go out and find the weird, obscure monster movie or even just normal horror films in general because I just loved building up a library. And then, of course, in 2001, when DVD came out, I enjoyed DVDs because it gave me the ability to watch the special features. And of course, sometimes with monster films, there was times where you would watch the special feature and there was behind the scenes on how to make the monster or the drawings or the person in the suit moving around doing all those special effects, all the practical effects. And you're watching going, wow, that's pretty cool looking. That's really interesting. And of course, I started collecting more DVDs than VHS. Especially, unfortunately, with VHS, you had to keep them kind of in a safe area. I didn't know that, so of course, I had them in a garage. Later on, I went to go dig them out. They had the mold in it, which sucks because I had some good ones that unfortunately molded and rotted away. But with DVD, they were pretty much built longer. Yeah, you can get your disc rot, but that takes a long time to occur. And as long as you keep your movies safe, you're good to go for quite a while. Then, of course, down the road, we had the pretty much the battle between HD and Blu-ray. And at the time, I wasn't going to either of them. I was sticking to DVD until we had a top contender, like who won the battle. And of course, there was all different types of physical media coming out, and you're kind of like hemming and hawing. Do I go HD? Do I go Blu-ray? But again, the players were expensive, the discs were kind of high, and you just want to take that gamble. I know a bunch of people did. Some did well, some got screwed. Because we all know that Blu ray won the battle. And of course, I still bought my DVDs, and then once in a while, once I got a Blu ray player, I started buying my Blu rays, and then we'll get to 4K down the road. But how that goes, and to me, physical is still booming. It's more of a collector's market than it is, just anyone can go out and buy them, which you can. You can go to some big major stores, go buy those films. But again, it's more geared for us collectors. There's a lot of cool companies that put out specific films. They put out a lot of cult films, hard to find films, and that's what we collect. It's a great hobby. I enjoy it. Yeah, it takes up a lot of space. But when people come over and you get that look, you're like, holy cow. Yep, that's what I got, my own video store. Like also too, back in the day, my dad and I will go to the video store and go out and rent. And that's why I always wanted to have my own video store in my house. So of course my father and I will go to the video stores to rent movies. I would of course again be pulled towards, like I had the old gravitational shift towards the horror section. Boom. I'm picking up the HS tapes, down the road DVDs to, read the back and rent certain ones. And near my home, where I grew, there were several small mom and pop stores my dad and I would go to. There was a big grocery store called Shop and Save, where my parents would say, "There's the video place." Boom, I would go. They would do all their shopping, and I would just be still in the same spot for hours, you know, picking up tapes, looking at them, reading them, asking my parents, "Can I rent this?" They look at it like, "No." Other times they're like, "Okay, you can rent that, as long as you don't have nightmares." And of course, I lied. I had nightmares. Come on, I was a kid, and so I said, "Yeah, do you have a nightmare?" "No." "Okay, we can rent another one." Yes. But that's how it is. Us kids go, and then that's what developed me into getting physical media. And I always enjoyed it, thanks to my dad. Uh, this grew into a great. Uh, it grew into a great little hobby. I want to say the hobby is fun. Again, room is your major enemy, along with, of course, your wallet. It pretty much hurts your wallet a lot, but room is the hard part. But once you figure out your own little niche, your own little area, you're good to go and just start building and have a good time. So, yeah, that is pretty much how I got into horror films and getting into collecting, especially physical media. I always go for physical. I'm not a big digital fan. Yeah, it's easy. Flip on the room, it's right there. You can watch it, but you don't have like all the special features you can play around with to watch. It's not there to show off. You don't own it, even though let's say you buy it online to rent or to buy it itself. You still don't own it. The company can take it off the streaming site, and then you pretty much, well, where's my movie? It's gone. Or other times you're looking for an older film, and these older films are not on streaming services. So what do? That's why I have physical. And again, one of the films I'm going to be talking about is from 1958. And a lot of times you cannot find this on a streaming service. And the DVD you can get cheap online. If you want to get it brand new, it could probably cost you some, but yeah, you can get used copy for a really good price. A lot of times going used is great. Just, it's a lot cheaper. Just make sure the disc is clean, the disc plays, it's in great shape, and you're good to go. And then, of course, just add and add and add to your collection. That's what I usually do. So, yeah, of course, I had to pick a creature film. And I wanted to pick one from as a childhood where I guess my dad and I would watch them and just sit there and enjoy the movie. So a lot of times my dad fell asleep in the Barker Lounger, but you know what? I didn't care. I was glued. And then he would wake up and be like, "Did you like the movie?" I go, "Yes, I did." He goes, "Good. Here comes another one on, and let's see." And of course, I would pick on my dad for sleeping, but it is what it is. I found myself snoozing in front of the movie a couple times. but that's what happens. But anyway, let's talk with the film. And of course, I'm going to be bringing a film from 1958, and this is a black and white movie. Now, a lot of people say black and white is not the way to go. You have to have color. Not necessarily. A lot of times, we grew up to black and white. Universal Monsters were all black and white. Some of your Hammer films were black and white, which were later colorized. Um, your films from the 1950s, especially the Atomic Age era, your giant bug movies, and there was some alien films down the road, were all black and white. And that's what started off the whole bang. And then later on, of course, we got color. So I know when some people say black and white, they're kind of eh. But just think, where did this come from? I know you weren't born back then, or if you were a little kid then, and you remember these films, or you remember watching them on TV, or you end up going to a video store, seeing the VHS, and it's the cover art drags you in, and you watch, and you're like, wow, this was great. So yeah, I don't mind watching black and white at all. Grew up to it, still keep watching it. I love it, especially when they get digitized and put on like Blu-rays and 4Ks. The picture's a lot more clear, but again, that black and white just shouts old and shouts classic to me. So again, let's start off with a film from 1958. This actually movie inspired a little bit of John Carpenter with the movie The Fog. If you don't know The Fog, don't have to go check that movie out if you've never seen it. But the movie I'm talking about is called The Crawling Eye from 1958. This is put up by, this is an older DVD. I think it's like a Gravitas Ventures DVD. And put up by Image Entertainment. Pretty much, a lot of times your old DVDs will be in a snapper case or just a clear DVD, which is great. Snapper cases are old school. They're that cardboard disc holder. If they get damaged, you're screwed. But the plastic ones came on later on, and you can really replace them if they get damaged, which is great. So, with The Crawling Eye, also known as it had an alternate title called the Trollenberg Terror. Pretty much the reason why it's called the Trollenberg Terror is because it takes place in a small town in Switzerland called Trollenberg. It has a giant mountain and everything, and there's been a big rash of decapitations happening, especially in the mountaintop. So, of course, a bunch of scientists and even a girl with psychic abilities are traveling to this research facility to figure out why these people are being decapitated. And they notice a cloud. This cloud is pretty much very stagnant. It just stays there, and it's very eerie. And of course, the girl with the psychic abilities is saying, there's something up there. There's something in the clouds. And you're kind of like going, huh? And everyone's like, nah, we'll see what happens. So, of course, we find out that this cloud has its own atmosphere. And its atmosphere holds these monsters that are inside, and they're pretty much camouflaged in this cloud. And so when hikers come by, scientists walk by, they are captured and, of course, being decapitated. Now, of course, back in the 1950s, you don't have all that gore and guts films. Usually you just have maybe just a body showing there without a head, or like a fake head rolling down a hill or a pathway. But you don't really see the blood and guts in these films. They're mostly used for imagination. Later on down the road, I could see if this ever got remade. This would probably be pretty gory. I hope it would. But anyway, so of course, we find out there's these creatures living in this mist, in this cloud, trying to take over this small town in Switzerland. So you have a bunch of scientists, again, the psychic girl, trying to thwart off these alien invaders. Again, this took place in 1958, where there's a big boom in alien creatures, especially things coming from Earth to invade. You had your Atomic Age era too, with the giant bug movies. But of course, this goes right into the sci-fi elements, and of course, it definitely has its horror to it. Again, this only comes with a theatrical trailer, So a lot of these films didn't have behind the scenes, which they would. You never know. Sometimes they get unearthed. They find the cylinders or the films, negatives, and when another company re-releases them, they can put them in. So hopefully they would re-release this. Unfortunately, this is only on DVD right now. Hopefully someday we will get a re-release, maybe a cool 4K Blu-ray combination of it. And pretty much, again, the back shows some color, but this movie is black and white. So don't let that throw you off if you decide to own a copy. Again, fits perfect on the spine there. It says the crawling eye. Now with the creatures are pretty cool looking. Again, this one really attracted me. Back in your 50s too, they always had brain monsters. Brains were always like the big thing. You had several films with different brain creatures. This movie, Crawling Eye, the brain from Planet Oris. They had like the brain that wouldn't die, and there's a whole bunch of other brain-related movies out there, and this is one of them. The way I enjoyed it was when they actually showed the monster. It was a gigantic brain with one eye, and it had a bunch of tentacles. And of course, these tentacles will come out, grabbing you, pulling you into the mist, or into the cloud, I should say. And of course, you're fine decapitated. I bet you this movie also helped inspire Stephen King with The Mist. So could be a big, go-to for those if you loved The Fog. Again, this inspired John Carpenter a little bit with that. People being pulled into the mist. For The Fog, though, of course, they had the Ghost Pirates. This one, you got these monsters. So this can be like a cool, almost a little marathon. You could watch The Crawling Eye with maybe The Mist together, or even though if you want to throw in The Fog, I wouldn't go the remake. I would stick with the original for sure. But anyway, The Crawling Eye is a lot of fun. The acting is really good, especially for that time. And of course, you have the cool practical effects of these weird brain-like cycloptic tentacled creatures. They can almost be a little bit H.P. Lovecraftian if you want to throw that into the mix, because Lovecraft had a whole bunch of tentacled creatures, cycloptic monsters. So this could fit into like a Lovecraftian society if you want to throw that in there. It's up to you on that. But anyway, I highly recommend checking this movie out, especially if you're a big fan of, say, 50s monster films in general, or even if you enjoyed The Mist, definitely check this one out. I think you might have a good time in this, maybe doing, like I said, a double feature of the two. So yeah, I would definitely check out The Crawling Eye from 1958. To my knowledge right now, it's only on DVD in the US. If you're looking for a Blu-ray, you can probably get a Region B, which is in Spain, has a Blu-ray of this. It says it's Region A, B, and C, but you never know with some of those foreign releases. I have a region-free player, so I can watch any regions. That doesn't bother me. It could bother others, especially if they think, oh, they got a good deal, and realize it doesn't play. So again, if you're looking for region other films, keep an eye on your player to make sure you can play region free, because you never know, you might get screwed and be like, ah, shit, I don't have a region free player, and now I'm in trouble. So if you go region free, don't matter, who cares, you can watch any movie you want. So yeah, again, The Crawling Eye from 1958. I hope you enjoyed this little quick little review on the film. Again, this is the Creature Feature Teacher here, Matt, again from You and Your Horror Movies. If you haven't checked out that YouTube channel, please go and like and subscribe that. I do a lot of movie reviews, updates, show off my collection, show off some horror collectibles. Usually I record in my movie room, but I needed a quieter place right now, and my movie room's a little bit of a mess. And the cats are not on here. I'm on the sun porch. This is usually where my wife records her stuff. But I figured this would be a nice little start-off place to record. I got some desktop. I can sit here and record this and see how this plays off. Again, I'll probably relocate into the movie room once I find time to clean, which is always a pain in the ass, but that's what we do. And I'll figure out what I need to do from there. So Again, if you listen to this, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, if you please let me know your thoughts on this. I'd like to hear your thoughts. I like to have, some review, positive recommendations, even negative recommendations. Any recommendation is what is possible. This will help make my podcast grow. And it definitely needs to grow because, well, I like talking about horror films. I like talking about, not just creature features. Maybe down the road I'll throw in some slashers or some serial killer films or maybe some torture flicks. Any kind of anything out there. It's horror. You can go any genre. But I figured start off with the fun ones, which are the creature features, and work my way around the horror network. And hopefully we'll see what happens. Again, if you listen to this, thank you so much for listening. I hope this found you and you found a little good entertainment and knowledge on this. And stay tuned because I'll probably be doing another one sometime soon. I want to try maybe do this as a maybe twice a month. We'll see how this goes and see how this one plays off. And of course, class is always in session for creature features. So, guys, your homework is to watch a monster film and let me know. I hope you enjoy them and let me know what your favorite monster movie is. Do you like them or not? And again, stay tuned for some more. So, thank you very much for listening and watching if you are. And I hope you enjoy and have a safe day. Later, guys. Peace.